Powershift in the house. Hello. I'm going to tell you something. It is so awesome to be here, and it would not have happened without you, the environmental movement, with young people throughout the 4th Congressional District and around the country who finally decided that they were going to elect some real environmentalists in the United States House of Representatives. And so thank you very much. You know, when I looked through the program and I saw, it was like looking down at my family members, you know, and I saw Sierra Club and I saw the League of Conservation Voters and CCAN and Clean Water Action, and I'm going to miss, and the PERGs, and I mean, it was just so great to see all of these folks with whom I have worked for 20 years and to know that our time for the environment is so here. I mean, it is here in the biggest way possible. And when I think about this election, I think, oh my gosh, it was young people who got themselves a president. It was young people who got themselves a Congress. It was young people who put the environment and climate change on the agenda, on the national agenda. And you know what? For years, I've been working on environmental issues in my community and throughout the country, and people would say, nobody votes on the environment. Oh yeah, they think it's a really good idea, but nobody votes on the environment. You proved them wrong. You proved them wrong. And so here we are. And for the first time in a generation, we're going to make amazing change. And it's going to be the change for you, for your children, for your grandchildren. And I just can't even say it enough because I think about my son, who's 21. He's a junior in college. He's like you. And he says, and you know, I don't have to teach him and tell him to reduce and reuse and recycle. He gets it. Those aren't lessons we have to do anymore. But what you have to do is take charge. And I'm so glad that you're here, because one of the things that I know is that being in Washington means that you actually need people behind you. And that means that when you take to the halls for your lobby day, it's going to be important to people like me. Because when you leave, we'll be able to say to them, Powershift was in the halls of Congress. Powershift made a difference. We'll be able to say, it was Powershift who told us that we can no longer depend on fossil fuels for our energy future. We'll be able to say it was Powershift that said we need to get out of our cars and get on our bikes and get on a train and get on a bus to go somewhere. We'll say even when you leave Washington, because you will have told us, we will say it was Powershift that said that the agenda for President Obama and the Barack Obama administration is all about the climate and is all about the environment. We'll be able to say that because Powershift was in the halls of Congress. And so I look out at you and I think to myself, when I'm like the doddering old lady, you know, that I'm actually going to be able to drink a clean glass of water. And I think to myself, I'm actually going to be able to walk as my, you know, sort of lungs are getting tired because I'm old, and breathe the air. And I think to myself that I will be able to have, you know, an environment and a green world around me that's not just decaying and dying. And then I think because of Powershift, because of young people, really, I mean, you made us get it. And because of young people, I'll be able to say, you know what, not only will I be able to drink a clean glass of water, but so will the people in Guatemala and in Rwanda and the people in South Asia. And when I heard earlier our indigenous communities saying to us, protect our sacred lands. And we protect those sacred lands for those communities, but we protect them for ourselves too. And so we've got a lot of work to do, but we're going to do it because Powershift and young people are in the house. So I came into Congress, and I came in And as Dominique said, and she did a terrific introduction, I came in and I had beaten this long-term Democratic incumbent. And I know that people say, and we're going to have a lot of Democrats in the House, and so no offense to anyone, but they say, well, you know, you shouldn't take on Democrats in a primary. And maybe that's true some of the time, but it was not true in the 4th Congressional District in Maryland in 2008. And the reason is because when you have anyone who's an elected official who believes it's more important to protect oil and gas and chemical companies than it is to protect the American people and protect the world, he's got to go. And when you have elected officials who care more about an auto industry that's not producing for the future but producing for the past, they've got to go. And when you have manufacturers who, you know, continue to package their products in the worst kind of way, burning the worst kind of fuels, and for what? So that we can stand around with with scissors and tape and everything else, ripping packages apart only to put them in our landfills. It's not acceptable. And so we have a lot of work to do. And the education process for all of this really begins with you. And so I want my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren to be able to drink that glass of water and breathe that air. And you know, Dominique is here, and she goes to Oxon Hill High School, which is in my neighborhood. Hey, Oxon Hill, how you doing? And at this school, you know, people say that communities of color really don't care about the environment, that it's not top on our agenda. They're wrong about that. And the reason that we know that they are wrong is because your generation has proven that they are wrong. Because I look out at this room and I look at rooms across the country and I look at Oxon Hill High School, where brown and white and Asian and Latino children are out there together working to make a difference in the environment, not in some remote community, but in our community. And they're saying things to us like, you know, my school has black mold in it. And they're saying things like, we drive around and we have these buses, these school buses that just idle all the time, and you know, you see the stuff that's coming out of them, and you must know that that is having a tremendous impact on our lungs and on our health. And these young people are focused on those issues, and they've managed in the deepest way possible to connect the environment and concerns for our larger environment and our larger climate. They've managed to connect that in their own lives, and that's happening in communities across the country. And so I want to share with you that we have a full agenda for 2009, and 2009 is so our year. And we have a really full agenda, and part of that agenda is about getting it right, not for the elite, just the elite communities, but for all communities. It means when we create green jobs, that those jobs happen in every community. It means that when you go back to your community and you work, that you connect to others, because what you've demonstrated here is that it is actually our alliance, every single organization working together, bringing all parts to the table, that's going to make a difference and send a message to the President of the United States and to members of the United States Congress. And so here we are, and we're getting ready to do this thing called, we're going to work on a budget coming up, and then we're going to start giving away some more money. Well, it's up to you to tell us where that's going. And I want you to tell us that it's going into technology for clean vehicles, and I want you to tell us that it's going into making sure that we actually do things about efficiency that could save so much and really contribute to the reduction in fossil fuels' impact on our environment. I want you to say that when your time comes, and it's already here for leadership, that you will indeed make a difference. And so I want to close because I see a light, and it's a red one. And I think I've gone over, but I will say this lastly, that we got you got yourselves a president, you got yourselves a Congress, you got yourselves a big election, and you've put climate change on the agenda. And now, go and do it. Thank you very much.